Hi everyone, this is Giovanni, also known as CryptoJo101, and today we are going to talk about Djed, the algorithmic, overcollateralized stablecoin that is going to be launched very soon by COTI. Before jumping into the video, I want to remind you that I'm the stakepool operator of the EASY1 Stakepool. The pool has been operating very well for the past 2 years and has currently almost 3 million delegated to it. If you like the content that you're seeing today, please consider supporting me by delegating to the EASY1 Stakepool. As an incentive, I want to remind you that I've recently started to use TosiDrop as a distribution algorithm for distributing tokens like NTX, NUNET, and WMT, World Mobile Token. Without further ado though, let's start with today's presentation. I'm going to use a deck because the Djed stablecoin is fairly complicated, so I'm gonna leverage this presentation to try to make up a structured explanation, and we will also see a play with Djed, this website I created recently, in which you can simulate Djed and Shen minting and burning, so to better understand what is the dynamic behind this stablecoin. So let's start with the presentation. So first of all, Djed is an algorithmic over-collateralized stablecoin. So what is a stablecoin? I'm sure that the majority of you are familiar with this concept, but just going through it very, very briefly. Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies whose value is pegged or tied to that of another currency, commodity or financial instrument. Obviously, in our case, we are pegging the Djed to the US dollars to $1. Stablecoins aim to provide an alternative to high volatility of the most popular cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, which has made crypto investments less suitable for common transactions. I'm going to be sharing this presentation as well, so you can check the source where I took this definition from. There are two main types of stablecoin. Collateralized, one-to-one with fiat currency, example $1 bill for each dollar worth of crypto stablecoin. And this is going to be the case of USDA that will be launched in the next few weeks or months by ERGO, but it's not the subject of the conversation today, because we want to talk about algorithmic, that is the second case. An algorithmic stablecoin is a type of crypto asset that relies on two types of tokens. A stablecoin, that in this case, in our case, is Djed, and another crypto asset supporting the aforementioned stablecoin. Therefore, the algorithm, or smart contract in case of blockchains, governs the relationship between them. Even in this case, I will have to replace a sorgente that is Italian with source, that is where I took the definition from. So in this case, we are saying that we have a stable asset that is Djed, and then there is a supporting asset that in our case will be EDA, the native cryptocurrency of Cardano. We will see that there is also yet another token that is called the Shen, that has its own circulating supply and whose price depends on EDA as well. But without complicating things too much, we will get this in a moment. So what is Djed? Djed is obviously an algorithm stablecoin, because the algorithm has the responsibility of maintaining the peg between the reserve, so EDA, and Djed, $1, but is also over-collateralized. The collateralization ranges between 400% and 800%. What does over-collateralization mean? The collateralization asset is EDA, and ideally, for each Djed in circulation, that is $1, there is at least, actually there are at least $4 worth of EDA in the reserve. We will see this much better in the demo in just a few minutes. So, the development. There has been talking about Djed for several months here now. And we were actually expecting the launch of Djed a little bit earlier last year. But because of audits and development and the Basilar fork that got delayed itself a little bit, this thing is, Djed is not going live for only another week. In fact, we are recording this in January, and we should have Djed going live as per the announcement the last week of January or the first week in February 2023. But anyway, IOG is responsible for the creation and development of the smart contract of Djed, while COTI has taken over the responsibility of building an ecosystem around Djed. In fact, the first thing that I've been working on is partnership. Later on, we will see a slide where there are over 40 partnerships that have been stipulated by COTI in order to allow Djed to really thrive into the Cardano ecosystem. The second thing they've been working on is the front end, so is basically the website Djed XYZ and basically how to interact with a smart contract. Let's talk about Djed and Shen now. Djed, that means stability in Egyptian, is the name of the algorithmic overcollateralized stablecoin whose value is preserved by ADA. We mentioned this earlier on. And ADA is the native cryptocurrency of the Cardano blockchain. So first things first, Djed and data values are not directly correlated. This is a really substantial difference between Djed and the Luna and USD stablecoin. We will see later why this thing is really important. Another fundamental aspect of Djed and Shen is that you can always burn Djed and withdraw the ADA equivalent. This is fundamental because all the other operations like minting and burning of both Djed and Shen in some circumstances is forbidden. But Djed burning is always possible, and you will be able to withdraw the ADA equivalent for Djed in any circumstances. But there is not only Djed, there is another asset that is called Shen that is really important for the health of the Djed ecosystem. Shen is the name of the token of the Djed reserve. How do I get Shen? When you deposit ADA in the Djed reserve, you get Shen in return, or mint Shen. So at the very beginning of the launch of Djed and Shen, the smart contract will have 0 token inside. Because the reserve is empty, you're not allowed to mint Djed, but the first thing and only thing you can mint is Shen. It means that you can deposit ADA inside the smart contract, and you can get Shen in return. Only at that point, a quarter of the reserve can be minted into Djed. We will see this in a few minutes, but the most important thing to understand is that Shen is the crypto, the token that is gotten in return when liquidity or collateral is provided into the smart contract. Shen is designed to absorb ADA price fluctuation in dollars. This means that thanks to the overcollateralization, if ADA price goes either up or down, this fluctuation will go straight into Shen that will give the stability and the peg to Djed. Obviously, Shen will, because by design absorbs the fluctuation, it means that the value of ADA and the value of Shen is kind of directly correlated. We will see this again in a few minutes into the simulator. So if ADA goes up, Shen goes up. If ADA goes down, Shen goes down. But again, because of at least 4 times the collateralization, we should still, in many circumstances, keep the peg between the dollar, Djed, and the actual dollar and Djed. Because of the 400% at least collateral, it means that the value of ADA can drop in a few minutes by 75% and the peg is still maintained. This is because if it happens over several days or months, as it's been happening for instance for the SigmaUSD, more investors will go and buy the collateral, so deposit into the collateral, and get Shen in return. And as we will see, Shen gives you some incentives. In fact, the next point is exactly this one. To mitigate Shen price fluctuation risk, because obviously who buys Shen, so deposits into the smart contract as part of the collateral, is getting risk, Shen owners also have incentives. Incentives come from multiple revenue streams. Some I call them direct because they are generated within the smart contract. Minting and burning fees of both Djed and Shen, they go straight away into the smart contract. The same happens for staking, because you deposit ADA into the smart contract, and those ADA will be delegated to stake pools, and those stake pools will generate about 3.7%. And then there are also some indirect, I used to call them, source of revenue. And this can be given, for instance, if you use Shen and you go and deposit those into DEXs and you start farming with them. So you can do liquidity providing, so get fees on the trading, as well as getting token farming rewards on the major DEXs. There should be MinSwap, SundenSwap, and Wing Rider. In optimal condition, Djed collateralization should range between 400% and 800%. This is a slide that has been presented and put together by COTI. We will glance to this very quickly because in a couple of slides we will jump into the simulator and will be much more clear. But let's go from the bottom to the top, because I think that's what makes more sense. Let's start from the bottom, because that's when the initial condition, right? When COTI will officially launch Djed and the smart contract is empty. Obviously, the collateral is not there, so it's going to be below 400%. So it means that we are not allowed to mint Djed. We are obviously allowed to burn a Djed, but there are no Djed in circulation, so we can't do that anyway. What we are allowed to do instead with Shen is just minting, because again, there are no Shen in circulation, and even if there were, there wouldn't be enough reserve. So we can start minting Shen. As we start minting Shen, we go into the case between the collateralization is between 400% and 800%. That is said to be the ideal collateralization or over-collateralization. Under those circumstances, so when the collateralization ranges between 400 and 800, we are allowed to mint and burn Djed and to mint and burn Shen. As we mint too much Shen, and so the collateralization goes to 100%, but we will see that the minting Shen is not the only case where we can get the over-collateralization above the 800%. The ADA price will play a role into this. Once we get to 800% or above, we are not allowed to mint Shen anymore. And going into the next slide, while we are allowed to do all the other things, obviously. And this value of the 800% is really important, because collateralization, in this slide we will see Shen in depth, over-collateralization has both a minimum value, as we mentioned, 400%, but also has a maximum value of 800%. This has been done in order to avoid diluting the value of Shen too much. We also said that Shen owners, they have incentives. Obviously, the less Shen owner and less Shen circulation is in circulation, the higher are gonna be the rewards for this Shen owner. So if we allowed to print and mint indefinitely Shen token, those rewards will be really diluted, so the incentive will not be as juicy as they should be. So if we cap at 800%, it means that at one point we kind of trying to maximize the rewards for Shen owners. And so this should keep the interest and the investment of community members to keep basically a healthy reserve of token within the Djed ecosystem. As we saw earlier on, once we reach 800% of over-collateralization, it won't be possible anymore to mint any more Shen. Obviously, as mentioned before, Shen has been designed to absorb ADA price fluctuation in dollars. Again, next slide is when we go into the simulator. This will be very, very clear. Shen owners, because of the risk, they also earn rewards. Djed and Shen are completely decentralized, and this is a really important point, right? Because we haven't seen this truthfully in other circumstances. So another really big, huge difference that there is between Luna USD and Djed is that Djed and Shen are completely decentralized. There is just one smart contract behind it that basically manages everything and is governed, as I said, by a smart contract. There is no possibility of a man in the middle or centralized entities that could either intervene or interfere with the smart contract. It's all done by the smart contract by community members. Neither COTI or ERGO can, as Dog1 said a few months back, deploy more capital steady lads. This can't happen. You can only mint Shen and burn Shen, or mint Djed and burn Djed. That's all that you can do. But now is the moment of the demo. So I watched several interviews and many hours of tutorials and videos about Djed, and I understand that this thing is extremely powerful, but also a little bit confusing. So I decided to implement a small web app that I called playwithdjed.com, and you can see that it's exactly me, CryptoJoe101, and the SPO of the EASY1 Stakepool. There is also a little bit of shameless advertisement here. Please support me, delegate to my Stakepool, or if you want to do one-off donation, you can use my ADA handle and just tip me, I don't know, a cup of coffee or whatever. I really appreciate this. But this is Play with Djed. This is basically a simulator with which you can mint and burn Djed, mint and burn Shen, and you can play with the ADA price. If you want to know more, there is a help button and you can read through it to understand more about it, or just keep watching the presentation. That would be good the same. So let's pretend to be at an initial state where there is absolutely the supply of Djed is 0, the Shen supply is 0, there is obviously 0 at the reserve, everything is 0, the collateral is white because this is color coded, so you will see the price, sorry, you will see the color changing as the value of the collateralization changes. There is also a little text here that's gonna go like low, super low, high, medium, ideal, whatever, and then other things. The most important thing is that the ADA price. We start from a very round 50 cents because this is gonna make a little bit easier seeing how things evolve, and obviously as per definition by the COTI network, we will start with the Shen price in ADA to be exactly 1 ADA. Then as soon as we start playing with this simulator, the price of Shen in ADA, the value of Shen in ADA is gonna just be estimated. It means that it could be off of a couple of points percentage, but it's not the purpose of this simulator to have the exact price of ADA, but to understand of Shen in ADA, but to understand how this price is affected by the different events of the Djed ecosystem. So as let's start. When we start, as we mentioned, there is nothing, and then in this case it means that the collateral is 0%, so if we try to mint the Djed, we will receive an error. Obviously, say there is not enough collateral, the system doesn't know we are exactly at 0, it says either try to sell some Djed or to mint less Djed, sorry, try to mint less Djed or to buy some Shen first. In this case, we can't mint any Djed at all, but we have to start to buy Shen first. So we're gonna buy 100 Shen at the time. This is gonna tell us the costs, the fee, and the final thing. So we say that we minted 100 Shen for 100 ADA because it's exactly 1-to-1, and we paid 20 cents of ADA as fees. The fees, you can see that the request fees are going here, and these are the fee that, as you can see, 20 cents, they go straight away into the ADA and the Shen supply in ADA, i.e. the equity. You can see that there are twice the same value here. This is an issue. I should really remove one of these and only keep one. So please, let's forget 1 second about this one, because the equity is actually the most important amount. The collateral obviously is still 0 because we haven't minted any Djed, so there is no actual percentage just yet. But let's say that we buy more Shen. Actually, we go and buy 400 more Shen. This is the price, these are the fees, so on and so forth. And now we have an equity, so a reserve of 600 ADA. Let's try to mint at this point some Djed, and we can do it. Again, you can see that we spent $100, we minted 100 Djed, sorry, not $100, 100 Djed. We spent 200 ADA because that's still the price. In this case, the fee is quite higher. Why is that? This happens because only when minting, because there are two types of fees, right? There are the request fees, and then there are also the operational fees. The operational fees are the fees that are paid to the COTI treasury, and COTI gets some fee only when we mint and we burn Djed, not when we mint and we burn Shen. When we mint and we burn Shen, we only pay request fees. When we mint and we burn Djed, we pay both request fees and operational fees. Request fees, they go into the reserve. Operational fees, they get out of the smart contract, basically. It can be withdrawn by COTI to pay for their expenses. And eventually this is going to go basically into the COTI treasury. ADA will be sold for COTI, and COTI tokens will go into the COTI treasury. So that's the full story. But as soon as we mint the Djed, obviously now we can correctly calculate the rate of the collateral. Obviously we started very tight, and we started minting Djed as soon as there was enough collateral around. So I'm saying here that the collateral is kind of low because we are on the lower bound. So if I keep minting, I don't know, another 400 Shen, you can see that this thing skyrockets to 600%. Again, summary of the expenses. And then from orange it turns green, where basically we are at an ideal collateral. Let's say that I keep minting. 400 is too much. Let's start minting like 100 Shen at a time. You can see that we started to go high because I'm only minting Shen and I'm not minting Djed, so the collateral is growing. We are at 782. We go now like lower and lower to try to bring it as close as possible to 800%. So 797, and that's it. As soon as we get to 797, I can't even mint 10 more Shen. It tells me that we are in overcollateralization and we can't mint any more Shen, so we can buy Djed or burn Shen. So let's burn Shen. You can see that as soon as I start burning Shen, the collateral starts to go down again. So everything is working. Obviously, let's play also with a little bit of minting of Djed. If I mint Djed, I expect the collateral to go down. As soon as I mint 50 Djed, the collateral goes down. Now I want to bring the collateral to the bare minimum, so I'll go 10 at a time. And there we go. We get to 415%. I can mint 10 Djed. I'm going to go 2 at a time. And I want to really bring this to the 400%. Cool. 402%. Let's mint one last Djed. And we are at 401. And we can't mint any more Djed. So we are on the lower bound. So let's say that 400% is still a very ideal collateralization, but we think it to be a little bit low. Let's see how the ADA price basically affects the collateralization. The ADA price, in fact, plays obviously a huge role, because if ADA price was stable, and there wouldn't be any problem with stablecoin, but ADA price goes up and down. So using intuition, we know that if the ADA price goes down, the collateral goes down, and we need more ADA to keep the peg. The ADA price has been 50 cents all along, and at every press of the button, we're gonna be removing a cent from the ADA price. So as soon as I hit 49 cents, with minus 1 cent, you see that immediately the collateral goes from low to very low, so we are in the red area. And as long as I keep pressing, the collateral goes down. So we're 43 cents, now it's 40 cents, 39 cents, so on and so forth. Obviously, in these circumstances, what is happening? It's happening that the collateral is going down, obviously, and the peg starts to be at risk. It's not at risk yet because we have enough collateral to pay. And we started from 50 cents, so we should really go about 12.5%, 12 cents and 20 cents, more or less, to go to 50. But before going to this extreme case, what happened in these cases? So we mentioned that minting Shen gives you access to rewards. So when the collateral is very low, it means also that the price of ADA and the price of Shen is really low, very low. So people should be really incentivized to ape in and buy a few Shen. So if I go and I want to mint 100 Shen, for instance, here, you can see how the collateral jumps up again. And all of a sudden, with just a few more Shen, I can mint enough to bring the collateral back up. Obviously, this could be a good incentive because people buying Shen at the very discounted price will, in the long term, or in the medium or in the long term, enjoy gains from ADA recovering the price, or even the fact that buying Shen at a discounted price will give you access to possibly higher rewards. But that's not what we wanted to talk about. So this is why the ecosystem should be automatically healthy and people should ape in and restore the collateral, because the value of Shen is very low, and given the incentives, it should be a good incentives to restore the collateral. But let's refresh 1 second, start from 0, and try to simulate again the fact that we are going to risk the collateralization. Now all these windows will disappear, and we start to decrease the price of ADA again. So we see that the collateral is very low. Obviously, when we go at 105, it means that we have just about enough ADA to pay for the 100 Djed. And then if we go under this, you start to see that the Shen supply in ADA basically hits negative because we have under 100%. And that's the case where there is really the peg starts. But again, is a very extreme circumstance because it means that this is happening so fast. So we went from 50 cents to 12 cents in basically 30 seconds just pressing the button. Obviously, this thing happens much more organically. and this should give enough time to people to be incentivized to restore the collateral by buying Shen. Obviously, this happens in one case, but this happens also in the other cases. So a quick refresh to the page, and then we go to see what happens when we get very close to the upper bound. So on the 800%. Let's mint a little bit more Shen, another 200, and now we go 20 at a time, and we try to hit the 800%. Obviously, these are all the purchases. I'm very rich, I did lots of purchases, so I'm very close to the 800%. Let's see how the ADA price affects this thing now. As you can imagine, if we go obviously down, the collateral goes down and the Shen price goes down. And this is extremely important if you have a long-term vision or type of investment, yeah? If you think that we are in a bear market and so we're kind of at bottoming, right, with a lower price, and again, whatever I'm gonna say is not financial advice. I just want to put things into perspective and let you understand what all the possibilities are. But if we're gonna see a price increase, right, and ADA goes up, you can see that both the collateral and also the Shen price in ADA at every hit is getting a little bump up. This is like a 102, 103. So as the price of ADA goes up, the Shen price in ADA obviously goes up. Again, this is estimated, could be more, could be less. Just please take this with a pinch of salt. But the math tells me that if ADA goes up, Shen goes up. If ADA goes down, Shen goes down. What happens now? That because the collateralization is above 800%, I can burn Shen, but I can't mint Shen. And it means that whoever has Shen is really lucky because he's getting the juicy rewards, but nobody else can get in and get those rewards. It also means that the few Shens that are in circulation will appreciate a lot because there are only few Shens in circulation. And with this, I think I covered pretty much everything that can be simulated with this simulator. If you have questions, obviously, ask them on Twitter, on the thread, or under the video on YouTube, and I'll try to answer as many people as possible. Let's go back into the slideshow and now try to go into the conclusion and really see what the incentives are. Shen incentives. We've been talking about this for the past 10 minutes. I just want to glance over them, just give some figures so that we can finish to frame the thing. Shen owners obviously take the risk of providing the collateralization. ADA price goes up, everybody's happy. ADA price go down, whoever bought Shen obviously will see their token depreciate. So for this reason, we have the incentives. Incentives at the moment are mostly three. We said that the first one is from minting and burning fees that go straight into the ADA reserve. So when you mint and burn both Shen and Djed, there is going to be a small fee that goes into the ADA reserve. And this increases the reserve and also means that increase the Shen value straight away. Shahaf, in an interview with Peter Boy, said that from a simulation they've done, this could reach up to 10% a year. That I think is a little bit of a high figure, but it's very possible if Djed sees a decent enough utilization into the Cardano ecosystem. Another thing that is obviously sure is that, how do you get the rewards? The rewards are paid when withdrawing Shens for ADA. So you have the Shens, you're sick of having the Shens, you just want to go and get them. Hopefully there is enough collateral that you can burn all the Shen that you have, and you will get the ADA back. You will get the equivalent ADA for Shens and all the rewards that have been accumulating so far. Another source of revenue is obviously the ADA rewards from staking. This is again automatic because the smart contract is going to be delegated to pools. These pools will generate between 3.7 and 4%. So it's another nice neat 4% that is guaranteed. Yeah. So for every ADA that is there are going to be rewards being generated. And then another thing is this is like more an indirect way of earning, that is the Shen farming. So if you have, you can take your Shens, you can go on dexes like MinSwap, SundaeSwap, and Windrider, and just put your Shens, provide your Shens in a liquidity pool, and earn fees from that. And moreover, you can stake the liquidity pool tokens on those three DEXs. And from the agreement that COTI Network has been reaching with those DEXs, there is going to be hopefully a very juicy rewards coming from, staking rewards coming from this partnership. Now, in the interview, I clearly remember Shaf mentioning that rewards from DEXs could top to up 15% a year. I gotta be honest, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, this sounds a little bit too high, because I'm not exactly sure where this liquidity is coming from. But just adding up the numbers here, there is about 29% in rewards from investing into Shen. I genuinely believe that this figure is a little bit high, but I also believe that it would be unreasonable to believe that a more possible 15% could actually be possible. If you only consider that 4% is pretty much guaranteed by the staking rewards, so you only need another 10% between smart contract fees and farming on DEXs. Let's not forget that staking on DEXs could actually also have some sort of impermanent loss and so on and so forth. So I'm not clear exactly how the dynamic on the DEXs is going to work, while the rest is a mathematical formula while working on the smart contract. Another thing to keep in account and to bear in mind is that if you are investing in Shen for the long term, considering that we are in a bear market and that ADA value in theory for the next week or months should slowly go back up, this could actually be really good investment, and again, a non-financial advice, because your Shen token will appreciate while also enjoying fees and rewards from participating to the Djed and Shen ecosystem. Very briefly, the roadmap, we mentioned the 40 partnership before. Unfortunately, I see a couple of things here that have since disappeared. But anyway, among the biggest player, we see that there is a ERGO, there is obviously all the most prominent DEXs. We can see AXO, we can see Empower, we can see Flute Tokens, NFT Maker, and a few other really important players, World Mobile Token, Indigo, so on and so forth. So there is a really huge ecosystem that will integrate with Djed. There are in fact 40 partnerships. The launch is for end of January, beginning of February 2023. The exact date is not known yet, but it should be any day now, as they announced actually. You guys will be able to farm Shen on 3 DEXs. My guess from the announcement that have been done are going to be they're going to be Minswap, SundaeSwap, and Wing Rider. There will be Djed Pay. That for me, I don't know the details about this thing, but if this is going to be any similar to what ADA Pay has been developed by COTI, this is going to be revolutionary and will give a huge use case for Djed. The smart contract will be WASL compatible with version 1.2. And this means that while it does not fully leverage all the WASL improvement, but it will be a step closer for the next version of the smart contract for Djed. In future, what has been planned is staking, obviously, and multi-asset. That means that, for instance, we could use the IBTC emitted by Indigo as a collateral for the smart contract. For me, this is mind-blowing. I know this is not going to be something that we will see this year, maybe not even next year, but if this is on the paper, this could actually be extremely revolutionary. And one last point to bring up is, again, as I mentioned, the bear market. Shahaf in this interview was saying, Shahaf, COTI guys, aren't you crazy of launching a stablecoin in a bear market? He was like, lads, this is math. A bear market is actually the best moment of launching over-collateralized stablecoin, because price can only go up, so the collateral should be safe and sound. Obviously, we touch wood and we don't want to jinx it, but technically and mathematically, this should really be the best moment to launch. Obviously, the boring part in the end, but this should really have been discussed at the beginning of the presentation: security and audit. First thing to mention is that let's say that a cousin of Djed called the SigmaUSD, that is a stable coin that is really similar to Djed and has been running on ERGO for the past few months. ERGO, I think, is the collateral, is the token that is part of the collateral. in the reserve, and has lost 95% of the price drop, has had 95% price drop since all-time high. This is obviously happened over several months, but the peg of SigmaUSD hasn't lost. So this is really promising for Djed. Obviously, we hope that this is gonna stay the same. Djed has also passed 2 audits. Details will be published by IOG in due time. And some consideration also, again, we mentioned this at the beginning, let's come back to this now. What are, like, whenever we talk algorithmic stablecoin, I personally still shiver thinking about Luna USD and what happened. But many people think that Djed is like a better version of Luna USD. This is not true. This is also something that Shaf mentioned. We have to think that algorithmic stablecoin means that there is an algorithm behind that manages the stability of the peg, right? And the Djed algorithm is completely different from the Luna USD algorithm. Most important, and this is one thing, most importantly, the main differences are that the Djed and the ADA value, they are not directly correlated. And this is very different from what happened with Luna, because with Luna we saw a so-called death spiral. Because as USD was starting to depeg, that is actually part of the perks of the Luna USD thing. Like the arbitrage was actually what made the Luna USD extremely interesting, but it was also extremely risky, because the moment that USD started to depeg, in order to establish the depeg, you have to sell Luna. But if you sell Luna, the value of Luna goes down, and so the peg is actually amplified rather than reduced. And this is basically what was the straw that broke the camel back and brought Luna to collapse. Another difference is that Djed is completely decentralized, and there is no chance of a MED in the middle. This is different from Luna. We clearly remember, and I also showed the Twitter earlier on, when Dog1 was manually trying to influence and reestablish the peg by deploying more capital. That's not possible. This is, in Djed, everything is in the hands of the community. They can buy and sell token like Shen and Djed and nothing else. The last thing to say is that Djed is currently in testnet. Obviously, if you see this video in a month time and you go on djed.xyz, you will not see testnet, but you will see possibly mainnet at that point. But if you just watch the video straight after publishing, chances are if you go on djed.xyz, you will see, I think it's preview is the specific special testnet on which Djed is running. And let's go back to the camera. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you very much if you didn't fall asleep while I was explaining all those things and you got to the bottom of it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter, CryptoJoe101. If you like the content, I really appreciate you guys delegating to my stake pool. It's a little bit small, so if any help in delegation would be really appreciated. If you have questions, please comment under the video. Give me a thumbs up, follow or whatever, and ask questions either on YouTube or on Twitter. Thank you very much, appreciate, and have a great day everyone. Ciao.